What is happening, boys and girls? Jim here, RC After Dark. Today is Friday, February 2nd, 2024, and we are out here in the frozen tundra with the FMS Hobbies ROC Hobby 16 MB Scaler 1941 Willy's Jeep. Beautiful looking vehicle. Couldn't pass up the opportunity to take this vehicle out in the snow today. The conditions are just perfect. I wanted to wait until I got a driver for the vehicle. But once again, snow conditions were perfect. Everything is just basically frozen, a frozen tundra. So it's going to be like driving on the moon. I didn't acclimate the vehicle beforehand. Normally I acclimate all my vehicles for a good hour or 2 hours at least, so the vehicle acclimates to the outdoor temperature and you won't have a problem with snow sticking or anything like that. But the vehicle's plastic is, man, it's pretty fragile. More like a model car, like an Ertl or a Monogram style plastic model. That's what the plastic kind of reminds me of. So kind of on the fragile side. Didn't want to chill it out beforehand just to increase the risk of things breaking. So no acclimation on this vehicle today. Hopefully we don't have a problem once again with our temperature just because of the frozen surface. So hopefully everything will be okay. Now, first run with the vehicle, I did do some modifications to the vehicle during our unboxing video, midway through. The shocks, number one, they felt pretty bad. The movement on them was terrible. You could feel all kinds of air pockets in the shocks. So I took apart the shocks and changed out the oil in them. I'm not sure what kind of oil that they had in there, but it was terrible. And they were only about 2/3 of the way full on each one of the shocks. So all kinds of free dead space in there. So I drained out the oil, replaced it with some Trinity 50 weight oil. Not being sponsored by anybody, that's just what I happen to have on hand with some 50 weight. I had 50, 40, 32.5, and a few other weights, but nothing heavier than a 50. If I would have had something heavier, I probably would have used that. The shock pistons have 4 big holes on the top of each one, so they can really move through the fluid pretty easily. So I wanted to find the heaviest oil that I possibly could. 50 was the heaviest that I had. I'd probably recommend using something a little bit higher. Nevertheless, so I changed out the shock oil all the way around, and each one of the shocks also had a 10mm spacer on the shock shaft to limit its travel. So I removed each one of those spacers. It wasn't a bump stop, it was just a straight up spacer, hard plastic. So I removed each one of those all the way around. As it turns out, it didn't need them on the rear, but it kind of needs them on the front with that stock suspension setup, just because you can't compress the suspension all the way on the front on both sides without the axle, the top of the axle differential, hitting the bottom of the panhard bar mount and the bottom of the frame. So some modifications are needed to the panhard bar and to the steering linkage in order to get that to kind of work out right. Ultimately, it needs some longer shock ends on the ends of the shocks just to kind of lift it up a little bit, maybe 10mm longer, possibly 12mm longer. But that would lift the Jeep as well, getting it higher up in the air. But it would also solve your suspension issues. Otherwise, you're going to ruin the scale appeal of the vehicle. But if you don't mind changing that up a little bit, the scale appeal is already kind of ruined a little bit by ROC Hobbies and FMS Hobbies. No offense to them, they did a beautiful job on the Jeep, but using links on it instead of leaf springs ruins the scale right there. So if you want to think about it like that, depends on how well you want your suspension to work out and how scale you want the vehicle to look. So I did my best to get our suspension to work out as good as we could with removing those bump stops so we can get the most out of our articulation without sacrificing the overall look of the vehicle. So removing the bump stops, changing out the fluid on all 4 shocks. Back suspension works perfectly left to right and up and down. We have full articulation as well as full travel when you compress both shocks at the same time. Front, on the other hand, is a little bit different. We have full articulation on the right, full articulation on the left, or left and right, depending on which way you're looking at the vehicle, but we can't compress both shocks to full compression at the same time without the top of that axle hitting our front. So we can't compress it down. Top of our axle is hitting the panhard bar mount and everything else, and we have probably a good 12mm, if not more, of open shock space there, shaft that's not being used. So after removing the spacer and bleeding out the oil, we can now get full articulation on the right-hand side, or driver's side, as well as full articulation on the left-hand side. But we just can't compress them both at the same time to full compression. Now I had to do some suspension steering readjustments here. This is going to be hard on the bumper. I don't necessarily want to rest it up like this. Now I had to do some readjusting here. Our upper link was hitting our frame upon full compression or articulation on the passenger side. And that's because the steering link our lower drag link here was mounted on top of this turnbuckle, which looks a lot better. And this link was mounted on top of that, which brought it up to here. So when you started to compress the suspension, it bottomed out early because it was hitting the bottom of the bumper right there. So I took our lower drag link here and remounted it underneath our turnbuckles, changed up our hardware and brought the hardware in from the bottom up instead of the top down, so it's smoother across the bottom. We're still getting good ground clearance across there, so it shouldn't change anything other than the look slightly. And then mounted our steering link directly to the top of the turnbuckle over here, which brought it down a little bit lower. And then had to put a small 5 millimeter spacer at the top in between our steering link and the servo horn up here. And that's a 5 millimeter aluminum spacer. So after doing that, initially our screw was just threaded into the servo horn straight up with no nut on the back edge. But after adding the spacer, we're seriously asking a lot out of this plastic servo horn for that stuff to stay together. So I had to put a lock nut on the back edge to keep all that stuff pinched down. I don't have high hopes for that plastic servo horn. I'm sure that's not going to last very long. Alright, so that's one other modification that we had to make in order to make things work. Now another thing I did was change out our receiver on the vehicle and put my Spectrum SR415 receiver in here and hooked it up to my Spectrum DX4C radio transmitter. And with that, I was able to dial up our steering radius a little bit so we can get a little bit more turning radius out of it. But I think ultimately we need a slightly longer servo horn on here and a different steering link right here, because these steering links are not adjustable. Yes, that's one thing I learned, is that the steering link is not adjustable on these things. You can turn this until you're blue in the face and it will not change. So ultimately, we can see that that servo horn is not straight. We need to shorten up our steering link a little bit. That way that servo horn will be straight. And if we put a slightly longer servo horn on there, it'll give us more throw left and right and increase our turning radius. Now, one other thing that I had to do here was change our panhard bar mounting location. It was sitting in that top middle hole, and I had to make another hole down below it. There is 3 indentations for 3 holes that you can possibly drill out, but they are not drilled out. So I drilled out the middle hole, the lower one, and changed out the pitman arm to a Traxxas TRX4 pitman arm, and had shortened it down a couple millimeters at the same time. Had to take about well, maybe 3 millimeters off the end of the thread. That way I could tighten it up a little bit, just because we needed that bent end on there to maximize our articulation. Once again, over here on our passenger side. So a few modifications that were made. Once again, I did this on the unboxing video, but I haven't shown that unboxing video as of yet, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to show that in the unboxing video. But there we go. There's a quick little preview on what we had to do in order to maximize our suspension travel. Once again, wasting 10 minutes here talking about this. Ultimately, it needs longer end links or eyelets on the ends of the shocks in order to maximize this, that front travel, just because of the way everything is set up with the top of the axle and clearances and yada yada yada. But if you want to keep the scale looks and keep it looking as close to realistic as you can, then what I just did there was pretty much the most that you can do for it. So tough to explain, but there we go. Before we get started, one other thing that I did was install a simple on-off switch in between our lights and our receiver. That way I can toggle our lights on and off at will. Vehicle doesn't have any taillights, but that is something that we'll be adding in the future. We will be adding taillights to the vehicle at some point in time here. Alright, well, we got her all turned on here. That battery connection is giving me a little bit of problems here. I had to make a custom jumper wire. Don't have any batteries with XT60s on them. That's what this ESC requires. A little bumper drag there. So I had to make a custom connector with a T-style plug going to an XT60. And something on that jumper is just not working out too well today. Frozen landscape here. Excuse me for talking and moving around. Not the most realistic video with me talking in the background. A little bumper drag going on here. They're plastic bumpers. Now, if someone were to purchase one of these vehicles and you look through your manual, go to the back of the manual and look at all the parts and the available parts. We'll have some parts that are marked with an S and some that are marked with an O for optional. There's some optional parts in there that some people might be interested in that don't even know that they exist. A little bit icy out here today. Well, we had to turn around 180 degrees almost to get out of that. We haven't even made it out to the adventure course yet. Everything's a little bit slick. Our stock military tires cruising through some footprints here, frozen footprints. She doesn't seem to crawl too bad. Switching out the receiver. Battery just lost our connection there. Switching out the stock receiver and being able to switch it over to my radio. I just got a little closer there and it just turned back on. That's weird. I didn't even touch the vehicle. It seems to crawl better with this different receiver and different transmitter. Using an old school Spectrum SR415 receiver that I pulled out of one of my other vehicles. It's been around since 2016. It's not too old, but still pretty old. Maxing out our articulation here. She's crawling pretty good. Seems to have a little bit better throttle control. That was what I was trying to get at by swapping everything out. Did some bench testing with it initially. I was testing out its throttle sensitivity, and it was kind of jerky. That's nice. Full articulation there on that passenger side front shock. Not sacrificing our scale looks by very much there. We'll see how far we can get around the adventure course if we even get out there. Let's see how long we can get out of this battery. I've had this battery for many years now as well. Battery's been plastic dipped, or has been plastic dipped to somewhat waterproof it. Air quotations. The receiver was plastic dipped as well, but that's one thing I had to do is strip all the plastic dip off of it before I put it in the vehicle. Bundle of extension wires coming off the receiver with the plastic dip on it was sticking up in the air just a little bit too far and wouldn't fit underneath the body, so I had to remove my bundle of wires, bundle of 3-inch extensions. Oh, we just lost power again there. I hear that I can hear our steering servo, so it's telling me it's got some kind of power. I see our ESC, our receiver is lit up as well. So I'm not sure what's going on here. It keeps cutting out on me. Yeah, I think it's a battery connection for sure. We bumped our wire and it came back on. Well, first day issues. Things you have to work out along the way. We need a new battery jumper. Apparently the Dean's connector is, or one of the ends of that, on that connector is not working out so good. I just lost it again. It's either that or it's the ESC, that Hobby Wing 1060. I have a Hobby Wing 1080 available to put in here if I need to. I was thinking about that. I'm getting full articulation there. Almost there it is. She's pegged out right there. Rubbing just a little bit, but not too bad. I heard a little squeak there in between me talking. Steering servo was a little noisy. Some are noisier than others. Not any noisier than a Savox SW0231. All the same. Supposedly a 15-kilogram servo. Try to crawl up over this footprint. Kind of limited here with our military tires. keeping it real. Ish. Great looking vehicle. A little axle drag going on up front. This vehicle actually has a few other options available, I think, that we could do to it to increase its off-road performance, but once again, that would sacrifice its overall scale looks. But I did have a few ideas that were popping into my head when I was rebuilding the shocks to further improve this vehicle's off-road performance. I mean, how far do you go before you're taking it past the scale realm? We're up on top of the frozen landscape here. Let's just cruise across this and make our way towards the podium and into the adventure course. Since we probably just spent about 5 minutes plus making our way here. Oh, snow's a little melted over here. The sun's been shining on that bit. Getting a little soft. Lock differentials all the way around. That's a bonus. Let's just keeling over a little bit. Again, we do not want to roll this vehicle over. Kind of going around the outside on the way into our podium. Whoa. Back tire in the air. Back tire in the air ever so slightly. Get it back down to the ground. Standing in behind the edge of the podium. A bumper contact there with the frozen Tundra. More bumper contact here. No driver, just doesn't seem right with that steering wheel movement there. It's like the Herbie version of the Willy Jeep. Jeep driving itself. Oh, we're so close, but yet so far. We don't want to dig this up too bad, or else we're gonna make it even worse for us. Change up our position, see what the Jeep's getting into. Well, we might have to just kind of bounce through this. Oh, that's full pull. I guess we're not going to bounce through it. Oh, there we go. Oh, almost there. There we go. To the podium we get. Nice. We made it. Making our way through the gate. Great little Jeep. Switching over to that Spectrum receiver, and has increased our turning radius once again, which is a good thing. Excuse me for getting tongue-tied there. Getting stuck at the same time. I was blown away by the scale appearance of this vehicle. Need a figure, need a driver figure. Have to do some shopping. Don't have anything that's going to fit this thing, scale-wise. Wasn't too sure how big this vehicle was going to be. I was talking about this on the unboxing video. Was looking at this vehicle for the last couple of years now. It's nothing new. It's been out for a while, a little while, and wanted to get it since day one. But was always forced to put it on the back burner because there was always just something else that had a higher priority. So. As far as RC priorities go. So I kept putting this one on the back burner. But when I was asked what I wanted for my birthday this year, I was talking to Kevin Breaker about getting a G-Made vehicle, or Kevin and I were chit-chatting about this new G-Made vehicle, the G-Made Spider, that has recently been released. So we started talking about that. That was my initial thoughts. Well, between this and the Spider. Moving our way into the frog pond here. Excuse the shadow, that is a tree. I'm kind of standing behind the tree right up against it, so you're not going to catch my shadow here. Oh, we're going to drive off the edge of the bridge. So talking to Kevin Breaker about the G-Made Scorpion, which looked like a pretty cool Jeep, which it is a Jeep as well. G-Made Scorpion looked pretty cool, no doubt about it. It was pretty big, long wheelbase on it, longer than this really. This is 324 millimeters from point to point between the front tire and the back tires, center to center on the axles. The G-Made was even longer. I'm not too sure how we're going to do here on our approach to the over-under log bridge. We might have to side skirt around that far left side, just because this side is pretty darn gnarly. So nevertheless, looking at that G-Made, and started reading reviews on other G-Made vehicles, and hearing problems about parts availability, and having to order entire parts trees to get a single part, and the length of time it took to get the parts, if you were to get them at all. Kind of steered me away from the G-Made. So I started talking to another friend of mine, Doug Elwell, over in Maine. 8-bit is the S-H-I-T online. And started discussing this Jeep. So I kind of mentioned it to him what I was thinking about it, and sent him a picture via instant messenger on the Jeep and whatnot. He agreed that it was pretty cool looking. And ironically, well, actually we were talking about the size on it as well, the size of the vehicle, wondering how big it was and would it play well with the other RC vehicles in the arsenal, or would this thing just be a one-off kind of vehicle. And then he went to his local hobby store a couple days later, and they just happened to have this Jeep sitting on display, and it was on sale. So Doug, what's up there, Doug? Was able to purchase this vehicle at a discount, significantly less money than what it was normally, which is a little over $300. Right around $330, depending on where you're shopping at. U.S. Oh, we might be stuck here. We're digging in. Gotta creep our way out. Nevertheless, Doug got a pretty good deal on this Jeep. And he started showing me a couple pictures via instant messenger of what it looked like compared to a couple other vehicles. Red Cat Gen 8. Or Gen 1 Gen 8 at that. For comparisons. Same wheelbase as the Gen 8, right out of the box, 324. 324 millimeters. We got a back tire kind of stuck on a little ice ball back there. There we go. So after seeing it a little closer up through Doug's perspective and video camera, cell phone, decided, yeah, maybe we'll give this one a whirl. So there we go, beating around the bush there, but long story short, decided to get the FMS, or the ROC Hobbies FMS 1941 MD Scaler over the G-Made Spider. Better reviews on this. It is what it is as far as vehicles go. It's not a competition crawler by any means, and it's really more of a model than an actual vehicle that you want to take out on a regular basis. And you don't necessarily, well, I wouldn't expect to get too much performance out of this without sacrificing your overall looks. And once again, the plastic is more of a model like a model, plastic model you'd have sitting on your shelf versus something you'd be out driving around with on a regular basis. It's not RC 4-wheel drive Trail Finder 2 plastic, put it that way. That plastic is pretty darn pretty darn tough. I put my Trail Finder 2 through absolute hell, rolled it countless times. Surprised we made it through there. And the body is holding up great. This, on the other hand, a little bit more fragile. Making our way into the over-under log bridge. Might be ill-advised here, rolling into this. Rolling into our tunnel, we might have to drop the windshield. I think we probably should drop the windshield here just to guarantee that we're going to fit through. Otherwise, I think we might scrape our roof. Excuse my shadow. Gotta get out of the way. Yeah, I think we would have been rubbing our windshield for sure on that. Now, I do have a canvas top on order for this vehicle. I ordered that directly from FMS. As well as a 50 caliber machine gun for it. It goes into the back of the Jeep. That's tight. And our machine gun and canvas top just made it into the U.S. this morning. Via airplane from China, according to the tracking. Boy, it's a good thing we put that windshield down. Tight clearance is there. Oh, that was tight. That's a good thing we dropped that windshield. That's a nice feature right there. Speaking of the windshield, boy, I had to do a lot of scrubbing on that thing to get that thing clean. Using some Monster TV cleaner, LCD plasma TV cleaner, and a microfiber cloth. And yeah, a whole lot of scrubbing going on to get those babies clean. Making our approach down into downtown Bedrock here with our over-under brick bridge and teeter-totter and all that other good nonsense for the newcomers. Adventure course goes out this way between these trees and around that way. Or we go this way through our tunnels, our bridges. We just came back from that direction there. Several different ways we could go. The track goes way up the hill, beyond those trees, and beyond those trees. Pretty big adventure course. Making our way in, dodging footprints here. Love a frozen landscape. I'm about to be 50 years old this year on my birthday. And I'm still out playing with toys, RCs. I used to do this when I was a kid using the old Tyco and Radio Shack 4x4 RC vehicles with trucks. Open differentials, front and rear, somewhat balloony tires. Ran on 6C cell batteries. I used to do this exact same thing. While crawling with them. And they used to run a long time on those C cells. That was before the NiCad packs. They used to only last 5 or 10 minutes. Vehicles that ran on the C cells would run a lot longer. They weren't rechargeable, but they would run a heck of a lot longer. Well, it looks like we're going towards our over-under brick bridge here and everything else. So maybe we'll take a stab at the brick bridge while we're here. Our frozen landscape. We might not be able to make it up that hill. Jeep sliding around, just moving the steering wheel around. Get ourselves into a position here where we're SOL as we're sliding down this hill. We'll run at it. There we go. There we go. Coming into contact. I probably shouldn't have stopped there. There we go. Nice transition up and over the brick bridge. Make it up the hill. Come on, baby. Go, 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 go. We made it. Go up past the teeter-totter here. See how far we can get. Maybe go up and turn around. Possibly. Oh, no. She's getting stuck. Oh, we're in a hole. Now, maybe we won't go that way. Just because. Ooh, what are we getting into? Falling into a footprint. I heard some plastic. Oh boy. Well, we might have to change our position. Well, I think we need a hand of God on this one, unfortunately. Which means messing up the landscape. Try to step in the pre-existing footprints. Alright, come on, baby. Give me the pool. Oh yeah, we're stuck there on our back bumper. Still might not be able to make it through there. Oh, there we go. Oh, footprint. There we go. These are way back out of here, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we should turn around and go up the hill towards Old Stump and over under Log Bridge and all that other good nonsense. Some different ways we could go there. Go up this way, up through Old Stump and up and around towards or over under Rock Bridge and Log Bridge. Or we can go back down this way through the valley and up around the other side, which is pretty much going to be just a big boring loop. Let's turn around and see if we can take it up the hill here. Soft patch in the snow. Not much punch here out of this 550. The way the gearbox is set up on this vehicle, I think we're pretty much stuck with whatever pinion gear we have in here. The way it goes, the way everything is lined up in the transmission. Being like a lineal transmission. Or, I can't remember the proper term for the transmission. Bunch of planetary gears. We're getting stuck in some soft stuff. Basically what I'm saying is that we're limited on our motor and pinion gear. We can't really change our pinion gear out. If we want more power, more speed, we have to change out the motor. And when it comes to that, you might be better off with a brushless. Just so you can go a little bit above and a little bit beyond what a brush motor can go. Right now we have that 35 turn 550. Say a brushless motor of equal value would have a little bit more low end and a little bit more RPM versus the brushed motor. So a good brushless setup might be the way to go on this vehicle to really maximize its possibilities with low end and top speed. Making our way towards Old Stump here, and we are losing traction. A little soft up there. Have to change up our position here. We just have these little pizza cutter tires, leaving the smallest of footprints here. Very narrow. It's good and bad. Don't think we're going to get up this hill, per se. Yeah, let's go around the outside. There she goes. piece of this cabin. This looks like a frontier jail cell. Getting stuck on the jail cell. Probably some little critter home this time of the year, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. We did have several log cabins out here on the adventure course, and that is the only one that's still standing. Mine is actually right behind us, right here. Just a rooftop sticking through. Hard winters up here. Northern Michigan. I don't think we're going to be able to make it up that. Need a little bit more zip out of her. But then it kind of defeats the purpose of the vehicle. Once again, very scale crawler. Meant for some high grade RC filming with no talking. Some little army people inside driving around, going AWOL. Having a good time. Come on, baby. We got it. We got it. We got it. There we go. Up to the top of the hill we go. Nicely done, little Jeep. Dropping back down over the big sand hill. The big rock that's kind of frozen in place right now. Gigantic boulder. Hear a little bit of plastic noise on the Jeep. Little body chatter. Mainly due to the frozen landscape. Seats chattering. Heading towards the over-under rock bridge and log bridge. We might have to drop our windshield on this just to be safe before we get there. A little preemptive windshield drop here. As we head down into the bridge. Probably ill-advised. Need to put some taillights on this vehicle. Does not come equipped with taillights. That is a bummer. I don't know why they didn't do that. Go the extra step. I suppose they wanted to leave some things to the hobby enthusiasts to do themselves, such as weathering and their own custom mods. Yeah, definitely a good idea that we dropped that windshield. A little tight there. So we make our way into the rock bridge. Another big drop here as we go into the log bridge. Change our position up here. Through under the rock bridge, heading towards the log bridge. Another tricky transition to capture on film. Oh, of course, pretty steep there. Dropping underneath this dip. There's a dip underneath the log. We might not be able to clear on this other side. We might not be able to clear here. It's pretty tight right there. Oh yeah, we're not gonna be able to make it. There's no way. I need a hand of God out of here. Yeah, dragging our bumper. Probably break our bumper trying to push through this. Yep, I think we're going to have the hand of God out of here, boys and girls. It is just way too steep. There's no way that we can make it through that. Pretty tight gap. And we can't back up. Bummer, we got to go pick it up. Yeah, we could try to punch through, but we'll probably rip that bumper off in the process. Once again, this is not, the plastic is not very sturdy, from what I can see. Maybe it is. Maybe FMS will be like, oh no, it's pretty strong. But it doesn't feel all that strong. I'm actually going to back up a little bit here as I pull on it. Be a little resistant. There we go. Set it up on top. Put our windshield back up. Pushing in on the front ever so slightly, kind of giving a little bow. Tough to do one hand. Definitely should do this with two hands. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. Up and down over top of the log bridge. Going towards the big hill climb and the next log crossing. Might need some speed on this depending on how frozen the landscape is. How soft the landscape is. It appears to be kind of frozen over here. Hey. Oh, battery cut out. We just lost power briefly. There again, we lost power. That's odd. Alright, so we had steering. We just lost throttle. 2 times there, losing our throttle. On full pull. I think it's probably the ESC. Can't handle it. Yeah, just loses it right there. We still have steering. Just losing our acceleration. At the critical moment, at the apex of the turn. Too much load on the ESC, too much punch, too much draw, can't handle it. My thoughts. Battery connection, but we still have steering. I wouldn't think it would be low voltage protection at this point in time. It could be. Let off the gas and hit it again and we got it back. So ESC related is my thoughts on that. Can't handle the draw. I believe we'll be swapping over to that Hobby Wing 1080 a little bit sooner than I expected. Not liking the performance out of this 1060. Lack of performance. Did good right there, climbing up to that little frozen log. Not bad, really. Probably the best that any vehicle's done in a long time out here, really. Crossing over that log, that one's gonna be tricky. Regular viewers know that is for sure. The log is the great equalizer among drivers. From the best of the best to the beginner. The log is tricky. We picked up a squeak here on our drivetrain. Here's something squeaking. And we just lost power again. Just let off the gas and hit it again and we've got power back. As we make our way through the trees. Or not. Oh, stay on it. There we go. We made it. Steer off the adventure course. Go towards our rock piles. Stockpile. Not enough bumper clearance. ESC cutting out. No, it's not the battery. This is a 5,700 milliamp, 5.7 amp. It's not, temperature's not too bad. Battery's plastic dip, so it's somewhat insulated. I believe what's happening here is that the ESC is low voltage sensitivity. From what I read in the manual, every time it drops momentarily below its recommended voltage, say stabbing the gas, it'll shut it off briefly. Body chatter as we creep through the snow between the rocks. Great looking vehicle. A lot of fun. Some minor tuning and she can be a real winner for a scale model as far as being capable. Change out that shock oil. And whether or not you decide to remove the spacers is a different story. If you do, you can probably do it on the back and it'll be okay. You'll have full articulation on the back. On the front, once again, you have to do some minor adjusting, including your panhard bar, creating a new panhard bar in order to make everything work. Attempting the log crossing, this could be very, very ill-advised. There's a big drop on either side, especially for this Jeep. Snow is hanging on the edges of the log by a couple inches on either side. So not very stable. We don't have portals, so not much ground clearance there. I think we'd be better off trying to avoid that log crossing and just go for the straight rock crossing. That log crossing is going to be asking for trouble. Just asking for trouble. Now on the blizzard video that I haven't posted yet, I was having a good time jumping it off the top of this rock and down into this powder. So look forward to seeing that. It was a real good time out here at the blizzard. There's nothing but powder and just a riot. Now that is the vehicle's braking right there. I have my hand off the gas. Just kind of coasting a little bit. Down into a footprint. Hopefully we can make it back out of that footprint. Use momentum as our friend. Going into another footprint here. Getting ready to. I'm going to try to side skirt as best I can. Once again, steering and turning radius is increased with our different receiver and different transmitter, so we can go in and adjust the endpoints. Ruining our scale. Whoops. I've got to turn all the way hard left, and you can see it's cut out. Not impressed with that Hobbywing 1080 or 1060, whatever that's in there. I think it's a Hobbywing 1060. If memory serves me correct. Hopefully the 1080 is better. I usually run axial 85 ESCs, which are old reliables. The BEC on those ESCs isn't the best at 6 volts, but Hobbywing 1080 is adjustable. I don't know if the 1060 is adjustable or not. I do have a programming card. I don't know if we can put one on this or not. I haven't investigated it that closely. We're getting stuck here in a footprint. Bouncing off our back bumper. Yeah, not so good here. I think we're going to need a hand of God out of this. Yep, we're stuck. A little too deep there. A little too deep for the old Jeep. Yeah, so we need to find a couple Army characters for this thing. Something creative. And cool. Let's negotiate our way back down towards bedrock. And find a different direction. Dropping back down into that hill that we got stuck on previously when we were trying to climb out of downtown bedrock. Frozen lunar landscape. There we go, we made it. And we're going to drop into bedrock. That's where the direction we're going. Kind of fluffed off here, taking this roundabout direction. Oh, sliding our way in. It's a fun little hill. want to do it twice. Oh, there we go. We made it. Nice. Nicely done, little Jeep. Way to go. Oh, back down into... Oh, there's a big footprint there. Here's some scrapage. Oh, there we go. More scrapage. Cruising down the rocky path here, heading towards the over-under brick bridge. We're going to try to go underneath this one this time. It's a pretty steep drop here. Just letting it roll on its own. I think we'll clear on our windshield. Hopefully we'll clear on our windshield as we make our approach. Oh, a little choppy under there. Gotta punch through a little icy snowbank. Belly dragger. Now, one thing that I didn't really mention on the video, or on our unboxing video, was our frame. The frame is extremely thin. It's not a very thick C-channel frame. It does have a C-channel frame, steel. Not very heavy duty. More like an SCX24 frame versus a TRX4 frame or a axial frame. The steel is just a little bit on the thin side. Oh, surprisingly, we backed out of that. All uphill. Change up our position a little bit here. Got a little click going on there, somewhere in our drivetrain. Snow, ice, doesn't like. ESC cutout. Steady draw, doesn't like that. Could be battery performance as well. This is an older lithium polymer battery. I've had it a long time. Since 2016 at least. Same as that receiver that's in here. It has spent its entire life plastic dip. So it's been waterproof, essentially. Yeah, we're not making it up that hill. Not sure how we're going to do bypassing these footprints on the way out of here. Hopefully we can bypass that mess on the right. Try to high side this hill. Maybe we can circle back around and go back up. Momentum is your friend. Slow, steady pace. We're getting stuck. Not doing too bad, really. What it is. Fun little Jeep. Very cool to look at. Scale appearance. Realism. Yada, yada, yada. I already know our throttle's going to cut out. Don't think we're going to make it up that. Let's drop it down over this wall between this tree. There's a little tie wall there that's frozen over. See if we can circle back up this way. Maybe make our way back around. Drag them up. Don't fall into that little well there. Little frozen well around the tree. Cavity. Get into that, might be done for. Could experience some severe body damage coming into contact with that tree. We're sliding here, front end's dropping downhill. Get on the edge of that well. Come on, baby, hold that that hill. Hold it, hold it, hold it. There we go. Sweet looking Jeep. Stopped right in the footprint. Terrible place to stop. Oh, don't fall in there. Ah, we're stuck. Give it a little hand. Not too much assistance, just a little bit there. She was good and tweaked over, flexed out there. Circle around the tree and back towards that hill again. Great little Jeep. Got a little moment of silence there as we were cruising along on the lunar surface here. What's our limits on video? Time limits. Need some taillights. There's some more scale realism there. Makes it easier for tracking the vehicle when it's driving away from you on camera. We could just say that the military guy had his light switched off so you couldn't see him driving away. Tactical advantage. Individual switch on his taillights. Around the outside. Around the tree, maybe, hopefully. Driving blind. Over the steep hill. Sliding on the that side. Fun little Jeep. Change my position so we can appreciate the angles a little bit better. I was not expecting the best performance out of the vehicle. Just having fun with it for what it is. Got drive it for what it is, treat it for what it is. Which is just one cool and realistic looking scale crawler. With a noisy steering servo. The mirrors are nice, it's very reflective. Oh, look at stuff down there. Treat the vehicle for what it is and you'll have a whole lot of fun with it. You won't be disappointed. But don't buy it thinking that you're getting a TRX4 Bronco. Or a TRX4 Blazer or a TRX4 of any other kind. It's not a TRX4, it's not an Axial SCX, it's not a Red Cat Gen 8. Or a Red Cat Ascent. Not a competition crawler. It's just a very scale looking model Jeep. Very realistic. Probably the absolute most realistic that you're going to be able to find. RTR. Ready to run. Great looking Jeep. Can't say that enough. FMS, ROC Hobby, FMS, whatever order you want to put that in. You guys and gals did a great job on this vehicle. The frame rails, once again, could be a little bit heavier. The C-channel could be a little bit thicker. Just to prevent any kind of tweaking going on there. I could see that bending very easily. As long as you drive it easy, you should be alright. Don't expect too much out of it. Don't push it beyond its means. Like I'm about to do right here. Climb over that rock. Cool little Jeep. Cool little Jeep. Let me climb up these rocks right here. We won't be able to go over them, but we might be able to climb up them. We might roll it over too. It's pretty steep. Pretty steep drop on the passenger side. It's a pretty steep rock too. This whole area we were in here last year, or the last fall, with my Bronco, my brother's Bronco. After we put the long travel lift kits on them, and it's a pretty jagged mess. These other rocks on the left that are buried in the snow. Some big gaps in between them. Scale Grand Canyon. Oh, we're stuck in between a rock and a hard place. We're pulling a Powers here. Pulling an Austin. Yeah, fun little Jeep. No doubt about that. Ooh, rough with it. Doing pretty good on the battery so far. Not to jinx us. Contact. Hit a rock. The snow's getting too soft. I'm close to scraping our windshield there. Yeah, not gonna make it through without damaging the windshield, I don't think, in that area. Whoa. Getting close to that other beam there. A little slushy. Yeah, we made it. One way or the other. I don't know if we'll be able to make it up and over the log bridge. I see the green board on the back of the motor. Right there. I don't know if we're going to catch it on camera or not, but see it just behind the front tire. I don't think we're going to be able to make it up the log bridge. Oh, it's getting sketchy. Definitely don't want to roll it off the edge of that thing. There's some serious breakage going on. big gaps here between the logs and the snow. Asking a lot out of her. Willy needs a winch on the front. The original ones had PTOs on them, the power takeoff. After they stopped using them in the wars, farmers were using them in the field. And hauling discs around behind them and using the power takeoff on various pieces of equipment. Kind of using it like a four-wheel drive tractor back in the day. It'd be nice to find a real one. They're fairly expensive. Few and far between, surprisingly. Several different manufacturers made the Jeep. Different styles. Ford made one for a little while. Seemed to be a little bit flatter. Across the top, kind of more like a shoebox than a Jeep. American Motor is, of course, being the most popular. AMC. Sun-soaked hill. Snow soft. Fortunately, the roof of my cabin there. Can we make it? Yeah, we did, right up and over the roof of my cabin. Collapse cabin. Right up and over the roof. Going up to the back half of Old Stump. Oh, snow's getting a little deep. Snow's getting a little deep. Cut downhill. Circle it back around. Yeah, fun little Jeep, boys and girls. Don't expect too much out of it. You'll have a great time. Oh, she just cut out. There could be low voltage protection there. It's doing alright creeping, but it doesn't like anything fast. Start nailing the throttle and it starts creeping out. Oh, the body scrapage on that rock. Full articulation on the front end. Our battery seems to be cutting out just a little bit more than normal. Stuck in a footprint. We might have to get forced into the direction we're in a different direction here. Well, maybe you can do it. There you go. Make our way out of here. Which way do we go? Decisions. Snake our way out of this valley. It's not a bad first run with the girl. Certainly is a lot of fun out here on the frozen tundra. So get ready to exit the adventure course. Negotiate some footprints here. Try to make it out of here safely. Getting towards a huge hole over here. Oh no. So close to the end, don't get stuck now. Oh, you see. Let off the gas. You see. Hey, we made it. Well, that's going to do it, boys and girls. First run with our ROC hobby, FMS hobby, 1941 MB Scaler. Beautiful looking Jeep once again. Awesome Jeep. Get a scale figure for it to top things off. Great looking truck all the way around. Handles pretty good really after doing our little mods to it. Don't know how it would have handled beforehand, but doing much better afterwards, that's for sure. Changing out our shock oil and repositioning our steering geometry a little bit and removing those 10mm spacers off the shocks. Definitely an improvement all across the board. No doubt about that. More articulation is always better. No doubt about that. This is a fun little vehicle. There's also no doubt about that either. I think a different ESC would make it even better. The ESC just cut out again right there. And again. So we might be getting close to our low voltage protection as we drive off here into the sunset. Yeah, there we go. And again. And again. Well, that's going to do, boys and girls. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching our video. Questions and comments are always welcome, as always. FMS ROC hobby MB Scaler. Beautiful truck. Love it. Love it. Very much appreciated, Mom and Dad, Ian, Buggy, for this birthday gift. Very much appreciated. And thanks for letting me open it up early. Alright, that is going to do it, boys and girls. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video. And we will see you all on the next one. Thanks again.